you say, Daddy's home, home, home for me. Let me shut that off because I don't want to get copyright striked. And also, it's funny because this is my 5th time recording that intro. And on the previous attempt, my girl came in the room and said that I sounded like Big Daddy Mark, which, if y'all know who that is, that's an insane thing to say. But anyways, that is my anthem going into tomorrow night because, of course, my guy Jimmy Butler is back in town as the Heat take on the Golden State Warriors, in which I'm calling our championship. Obviously, this season has gone to crap for the Miami Heat, so tomorrow is our Super Bowl, which is really funny, the fact that Jimmy Butler's actually here because the Golden State Warriors flew into town like 2 days ago, so they do have a 2-day break before the game. But the reason it's funny is because the Heat finally won last night. They beat the Charlotte Hornets, snapping their 10-game losing streak. And it's like, I feel like the only reason we were able to win is because Jimmy Butler was in town. Isn't that just funny how that works out? But anyways, of course, I will be at the game tomorrow because I got to go support my guy, Jimmy Butler. I know a lot of Heat fans watching this video are not going to like to hear me saying that because I get it. I'm not disagreeing that things ended ugly. I'm not disagreeing that Jimmy Butler quit on his teammates on the way out, that he was disrespectful to the organization. I'm not denying that. I don't like the way that Jimmy Butler handled things on the way out. But I have been very adamant in saying that I don't think that should discredit all of the great memories he gave us for the last 5 seasons. That's why I have this Jimmy Butler signed jersey up for the rest of my life. That's why I posted a thank you Jimmy Butler tribute video like a month ago that I highly recommend y'all check out. I basically compiled a bunch of clips from the last 5 years of me watching him on TV or just him impacting my life. So that's a very good video that I recommend y'all check out. But yeah, and that's why I will be there tomorrow to show my support in person. And of course, I will be filming a ton of content there. So make sure y'all subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And also, I'm currently at 6.66 subs, which is obviously not a good thing. So if y'all want to help me rise above that, make sure to hit that button down below. It is completely free. But yes, at the game tomorrow, I will be giving Jimmy Butler a standing ovation for the beginning of the game. For the rest of the game, I am a Heat fan. I am not rooting for Jimmy Butler. I'm rooting for the Heat to win. But when he does get announced in starting lineup, I will give him the ovation that I think he deserves. I'm very curious to see what the crowd reaction is going to be. I think it's going to be mixed. Some people think it's going to be overwhelmingly negative, or at least that's what I've been hearing. I don't think so. Now, it was confirmed today that he is going to get a tribute video from the Miami Heat. And during that time, usually it's at like the first time out in the first quarter, I do think he will get a standing ovation then. But as far as the starting lineups, I'm very curious to see it. But like I said, I will stand up and cheer to pay my respects for the great memories that he's given me, for everything that he's meant to my life, just with regards to my happiness as a Heat fan, the great memories I've had watching the games with my family, even the boost of this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel started like 4 years ago now. And obviously, without Jimmy Butler making us relevant, who knows if I would have had as much success as we're having here. And of course, a lot of that is thank you to you guys watching this. So I do appreciate y'all as well. But I'm going to show Jimmy Butler respect to start the game. From that point on, a lot of time, every time he touches the ball, fans are probably going to boo. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm definitely not going to boo. I'm not going to cheer for him. I actually think it'd be really funny if the whole crowd went dead silent every time he touched the ball, because we know a guy like Jimmy, the dog that he is, he thrives off the negativity. And I think just booing him every time he touches the ball will make him kill us, because truthfully, I'm already terrified that he's going to dominate us tomorrow night. As of right now, Steph Curry is questionable, although Steve Kerr came out today and said that Curry really wants to be there for Jimmy. Curry did fly to Miami after missing their first game of the road trip in Atlanta. And there was also the report just a few minutes ago that Steph Curry he had a good practice today, and he is on track to possibly play. He's currently listed as questionable. But obviously, if Curry doesn't play, Jimmy's just going to get more touches, and his point total is probably going to be a lot higher if Curry wasn't there. But either way, I do expect Jimmy to have a great night tonight or tomorrow, but I'm not going to boo him every time he touches the ball, just because I am terrified of what that man can do to us. But anyways, Jimmy Butler did have a lot of interesting things to say today, as there was an article from The Athletic that was just released in which they interviewed Jimmy. But also, the Warriors are practicing at Barry University down in Miami, and Jimmy Butler was asked a bunch of questions, and there was a lot of interesting things that he said today. So that's why in this video, I kind of want to read through some of the quotes and go through what was said. So the first thing that was going around Twitter today is what Jimmy Butler said in response to what the term heat culture means. And he said it's a little bit overused. He said, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I think it's a little bit like overused talking about the heat culture. It's a great organization, but I think a large part of the culture is you get guys that buy into a winning mindset. You get some guys that buy in, you get some really good players, and you get the opportunity to talk about heat culture a little bit more. I'm not saying it to talk down or anything, but I think whenever you have really good players, you can name it whatever you want to name it. And truthfully, I agree with 100% of what he's saying. Heat culture is really based off the guys that you bring in, which Jimmy acknowledges, guys that have a winning mindset. That means guys that are willing to sacrifice, enjoy each other's success, die for loose balls, all of those things that you associate with heat culture. But at the end of the day, that can only get you so far. When you bring in actual talent, that's how you truly compete. And then when you are competing for championships, you can call it whatever you want, as Jimmy says. You can call it heat culture. But the actual whole just saying it's only going to get you so far. It really doesn't actually mean anything unless you get the talent in the organization, which is why Jimmy Butler was such a perfect fit here, because not only did he have all the intangibles as far as toughness and hustle and energy and all those things, but he was also a super talented player with regards to his mid-range shot, his footwork, his ability to draw free throws, his ability to get into the paint, his ability to hit clutch shots, his ability to rebound or read the defense, facilitate. He could do all of those things, which he doesn't get enough credit for because he's not the most flashiest player. He won't go out there and drop 50 points like a Kevin Durant or a Steph Curry or whoever, but he is still an extremely undervalued and underrated player when it comes to skill. That's why he was so perfect here. And it really seems like the Heat thought that, we could just slap heat culture on anyone and be a successful team, and you can't. And that's what you're seeing right now with this organization losing 10 out of their last 11 games. You can't just slap heat culture on anything. It's one thing to put it on jerseys and put it on the court, but if you're not actually getting guys in an organization that are talented and actually buy into that, then what does it matter? So I actually do agree with Jimmy Butler there. And the next quote, Jimmy was asked about kind of the response of Miami fans and all the ones that have disdain for him now. And Jimmy says, I wonder if they look at the Heat the same way. It ain't like I was the one doing everything. It's got to be 50-50, maybe 51-49, the 51% towards me. But there's no way that I caused all of this. And truthfully, another quote that I agree with Jimmy Butler. He's basically saying all these fans out there that are mad at me, you got to be mad at the Heat too, because how can this all be my fault? Now, I know a lot of the pushback on that will be fans saying, hey, everywhere that Jimmy's been, it's ended badly. Chicago, Minnesota, that was the roughest one by far. Philly, and now Miami. They're going to say at some point, you got to acknowledge that Jimmy Butler is the common denominator in all of that. And while that is true, I would say you can also look at the Miami Heat and say the same thing. Alonzo Mourning did not end on good terms before eventually coming back to win a championship. Dwayne Wade did not end on good terms the first time, although he obviously ended up coming back as well. Chris Bosh did not end on good terms. Now, I think the Heat have made amends with all of these players. Even LeBron James did not end on good terms, but things have sort of seemed to soften up there. But with all of these stars, and now Jimmy Butler, things have not ended off with good terms between Pat Riley and all these stars. And the same way, it might not be a coincidence that Jimmy Butler is the bad guy everywhere he goes. I don't think it's a coincidence that every star ends up leaving Miami. You have a guy like Dwayne Wade, he should have never left. You had a guy like LeBron James, you should have did everything in your power to keep him here. You had a guy in Jimmy Butler who pulled you from the depths of mediocrity because he wanted to be with your organization, brought you to 2 finals in 5 years. You should have never let him leave. You should have prioritized him. You should have got him actual help instead of bringing in a bunch of undrafted players and prioritizing guys like Tyler Hero, giving them extensions when Jimmy Butler's sitting there without an extension. And I think that's where the front office really messed up. And that's why my opinion on all of this is, while, like I said earlier, Jimmy Butler did not do a great job the way he handled the situation, I blame majority on the front office for the way things ended for a couple of reasons. One, they did not do enough getting Jimmy Butler help. And the reason that his era here was a failure, which it was a failure, the goal is to achieve a championship, win a ring. And if you did not achieve the ultimate goal, it is an abject failure. Their relative success to other teams does not matter to me because there's different standards in Miami. Yes, they went to 2 finals and 29 other franchises would die for that opportunity. But this is the Miami Heat. The standards are set higher because of Pat Riley and everything that he did to this organization 30 years ago. I do acknowledge that. But just because he gave us those standards doesn't mean that I can now be mad that we got close to winning a championship. No, he set the standards. They did not achieve the goal in Jimmy Butler's era. Therefore, it was a failure. And the reason it was a failure, I don't think is because of Jimmy Butler. Now, yes, if he didn't coast the last couple of regular seasons, they might have not been a play-in team. They might have had an easier route in the playoffs. Maybe they could have went farther. But that's still a small minority of the reasoning for this Heat team's lack of success over the last 2 years. I still put it on the front office because they did not do enough to get him help. Now, if you want to put some more blame on Jimmy Butler, he did want Kyle Lowry. That part's on Jimmy Butler as well. But that's the only move the front office really made. You had Durant say he wanted to come here. You had Damian Lillard say he wanted to come here. I don't care if the Suns had more assets. I don't care if Joe Cronin was being a hoe-ass bum. At the end of the day, if guys are saying they want to come to your team and you can't get it done as a front office, as the president, as the GM of a team, that's on you. And that's why I blame the front office too. But you could see here, as I'm going back and forth, I'm putting some blame on Jimmy. I'm putting some blame on Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg and Adam Simon in the front office. I'm putting blame on both sides, which is to go to Jimmy's point, that it's got to be 50-50 here. So while I do blame the front office, I acknowledge that Jimmy was in the wrong and vice versa. But that's why I'm still going to show my respects to Jimmy Butler tomorrow to show my appreciation for everything that he's done here. Because I do think both sides are to blame. This is before, then moving on here, this is before Jimmy knew that there would be a tribute video. He was asked if he would watch the Heat's tribute video, and he said, would I watch? Yeah, I'd watch if they have one. If they don't, makes no difference. Really a nothing answer here from Jimmy. He very clearly doesn't want to talk about this situation. But I do think Jimmy Butler has shown his respects to the Heat organization since he's left. Just like the Heat are taking the high road, giving him a tribute video as they should, which a lot of people didn't even think he would get, by the way. You know, I always heard a lot of reports, they're too mad at him, he'll never get one. I always thought he would. They usually reserve it for guys who have won championships here, but like Goran Dragic got one. I know Goran Dragic did not end on bad terms. He's still back with the Heat organization today. But still, I always believe Jimmy Butler should have and will get a tribute video, and that was just confirmed earlier today. But yeah, Jimmy says he'd watch, so he shows his respects. Even he said nothing but positive things really about the organization. It sounds a little weird to say he said nothing but positive things, because in the last quote, he literally said, it's not just my fault, it's their fault too. But with regards to not being directly disrespectful, he hasn't done that over the last month or so. He says, you know, he loves a lot of the guys over there. He loves his teammates. He loves his coaches. He has said those things. He hasn't gone like on a burning bridge tour since he was traded to Golden State and just MFing everyone in the Heat front office. He hasn't done that. And he even did thank the fans. And just another quote yesterday said, you know, a lot of the fans do appreciate what I do here. And he acknowledges that. He said thank you, which is more than LeBron James ever did, mind you. When LeBron left, LeBron didn't thank the fans for like 8 years for some reason. But Jimmy Butler has already thanked the fans. And I think both sides have kind of taken the high road here, which is good to me to see as a fan, because it shows that maybe the fences are starting to get mended a little bit. Because ideally, I love Jimmy. I love the Heat. I don't want these guys to end on bad terms. Not that it affects me on a personal level or nothing, but it's just sad to see, you know, in the retrospect of everything. I'd love to see Jimmy Butler get his jersey retired one day. I'd love to see him come back and, you know, maybe, you know, have fun with some Spoelstra, sharing the nostalgia, all that stuff. I'd love to see that as a fan. So I do hope that they can kind of reconcile as the years go on, and hopefully the time heals all wounds there. But moving on, Jimmy Butler was asked if things could have worked out better if Pat and him sat down after last season and he was offered the extension. He says no. But then he was asked if he felt that he was at a point of no return all the way back in last May. And he said, yeah, pretty much, which is him saying that as soon as the playoffs ended last year and the Heat got swept, or the Heat lost in 5, obviously Jimmy Butler didn't play in that series versus Boston. He's saying he knew he was at the point of no return. I don't buy that, just because I think there was a lot of reasons here, which we've talked about at length for the couple months leading up to Jimmy's trade, but a couple reasons why he wanted to leave. Yes, they couldn't build a contender around him, but I think Jimmy was okay either getting paid and not being good, or not being good but getting paid. Or what did I say? I think I said the same thing twice. He was either okay getting paid but not being good, or not getting paid but being good. That's what I meant to say. He wasn't okay not getting both. Essentially to say he didn't want to be on a team that sucks, and also he's not getting his max extension. So I think it's a little bit of both of those reasons. So that being said, if Pat Riley was able to sit down with him at the end of last season and offer him a max extension, I do think things would have been different. Now, should Pat Riley have done that? Well, in hindsight, it's easy to say yes, considering the way things are looking now. But truthfully, we won't know the long-term effects of this for several years. Because what happens if the Heat miss the playoffs, go on to win the lottery and get Cooper Flag? We don't know. But in short term, yeah, they probably should have paid him, just seeing the success that the Golden State Warriors have had. But I just really don't buy into this tweet by him, just because we've seen a lot of we've seen a lot of good moments with Jimmy Butler earlier this season, and when he was still here, it did look like things were working out. But it was just something really weird after. Remember, he sprained his ankle versus OKC, then he got sick. That's the time when things really started to get a little icy, at least from the outside perspective. So I'm not sure I truly believe this quote by him. But the last quote that I have here from Jimmy is, he said that I'm always painted as the bad guy. Everywhere I've been, I'm always the problem. Just kind of him acknowledging that he's okay taking on that villain role, and it is what it is at this point. There's really not too much to that, but I've always liked that about Jimmy Butler. He acknowledges responsibility, and he just, I don't know. He not if they lose, he says it's on him. He's not always out there making excuses, blaming teammates, and I don't know. I've kind of always liked Jimmy Butler's mindset that way. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much all the quotes we heard from today. They asked Jimmy, I guess, about playing Miami. He says it's just another game. They asked Tyler Hero about that after the win yesterday. He said it's just another game. That's what the players are gonna say. But truthfully, once they get there on the court, I think things are gonna be. I think it's gonna go crazy. I think it's going to be peak cinema tomorrow night, and that's why I'm super excited to be there. At least Steve Kerr did acknowledge it. He said that he expects a charged atmosphere at Kaseya Center. I know when he traded Goran, Jimmy Butler said the first thing he wants to do is commit a flagrant foul on Goran, because that's his guy. You know, not anything dirty necessarily, even though a flagrant is a dirty foul. But you know what I mean? He wants to rough him up a little bit, because there's nobody that you want to beat more than your friends. And Jimmy Butler has said that as well. When he first came to Miami, he says, I want to beat Joel Embiid. I want to beat my friends over there in Philly. But at the end of the day, what happened when the Heat beat Philly in the playoffs? He was out there screaming, Tobias Harris over me, because Jimmy's a petty guy. And I do respect that about him. So they could say it's just another game all they want. I think these guys are going to put out a different level of energy and effort tomorrow. And I'm super excited to see it. Hopefully Andrew Wiggins can continue his strong play, because just like I think Jimmy Butler is going to go off tomorrow, I think Andrew Wiggins might too. He's only missed like 8 shots in his last 2 games, and he scored, I think, 72 points between the last 2 games. He's obviously been absolutely on fire. Just dropped 42 last night. He's making it rain from 3. The mid-range jump shot pull-up is looking Jimmy-esque, dare I say. So it should be a fun matchup tomorrow. Bam and Tyler were questionable for the Hornets game. Tyler with the hip. He ended up playing really well. Bam with the knee. He ended up playing not as well, but hopefully those guys can be close to 100% for the Warriors game too. So anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. I will be at the arena in section, what section am I again? 101. So if y'all are at the game and want to come say what's up to me, come stop by section 101. I'll be filming tons of content, like I said, so make sure y'all subscribe so y'all can see all that. Make sure to like the video and comment, because I'm very curious to hear what y'all think, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.